Good evening. Welcome to Ideas at Work and Beyond. This is a live call-in show, 792-4101, 792-4101. Call your friends, join the discussion. We're going to talk about a variety of issues, especially the Hispanic Center. Have you, unless you are hiding under a rock, you know that Jane Diggs, she's the Republican from the Common Council here in Danbury, came out and said that the city moved racially motivated with respect to how it funds the Hispanic Center. We're going to have here is a discussion about, hey, is it really racially motivated, or should the Hispanic Center have the funds that it needs to operate? We have Liz Gutierrez. She's Spanish. She's going to be discussing that. Alina Brentes. She's the former, I'm about to say former mayor of Danbury, but she ran against Mayor McBoughton last year. Successful campaign. We're going to be discussing all these different issues, and I would like for all of you to join the discussion because it's going to get very hot in this room tonight. Let me welcome Liz.
Hi.
Welcome
nice to be here.
to Ideas at Work and Beyond. You're not a stranger, actually. You came here before to discuss the issues in the city. And I remember it was quite an interesting conversation we had last time, right?
It was a little heated.
It was a little heated. Right. Mr. Heiser, how you doing?
Good.
Good.
Good to be here.
Hi, Ivan.
Mrs. Abrentes.
How are you?
Good. Welcome to Ideas at Work again.
Thank you.
And I would like for you to give us your perspective of what's going on in the city with respect to the bonding issues, the Hispanic Center, and the crimes that's going on here in the city, the police department, etc. So we expect to have an overview of what's going on.
Oh, there's so many things. It's really hard to discuss. But I was at that council meeting this past month with regards to the Hispanic Center, just briefly. And it's kind of disappointing, especially to know what the charge of a committee is, an ad hoc committee, and to see how the issues are being handled. And I was very proud of Mrs. Diggs to come forward and make the statement that she did, because there's certain ways to handle certain situations, and it wasn't the way to handle it properly. So her reaction and her method of handling this was very honorary. Very proud of her. The bond issue, I'm very concerned about the bond issue, because for 7 years I was on the Common Council, and for 7 years those bond issues always went to voters. And I think we have very conscientious voters in the city of Danbury who do come out and vote on bond referendums, and I think it's very important that we allow the public to come out and voice their opinion as to the issues that are being proposed, just different aspects of things that are happening within the city. And there were issues that were in the bond issue that were supposed to be in the operating budget, not on a bond. You don't depreciate vehicles for the police department. The technology department should have been handled in the Board of Ed during the budget proposal. I don't think that it was being handled properly.
Okay, well, we're going to talk about all these topics. Liz, you are a long-time Danburian. You know the issues very well. You used to work in the Hispanic Center, I believe.
Yes.
Right? And you work in the community. You came here because I wanted to get your perspective from a Spanish perspective, from your perspective, to tell us exactly how do you see the whole issue about the whole Hispanic deal? Because here it is. Is it fair for the Hispanic Center not to get their fundings back? With what is alleged, why they are not getting their money?
Well, to answer your question, no, I don't believe that it's fair that they don't get the funding back. If you give somebody a directive and say you have to reorganize, find someone, if you have to reorganize, find somebody to be a new director and stop what you're doing, then you go forward to the meeting and you're not going to get the funding, you've done everything they've asked you to do, then no, that's not fair. However, if you're asking things more specific, then both parties should be very clear and concise. When you're spending the public's money, you need to be above board about everything. And if they're asking specific things, then they need to be real clear about what they're asking, so that the Hispanic Center and the way that they've regrouped now, there's a new executive director whom I haven't met yet, but obviously she's a very talented person if they chose her to lead this agency. It's a social service agency, and you can't operate a social service agency without public money. It just doesn't work.
But Mr. Heiser,
Yes,
what have you heard?
I've heard a lot.
Yeah?
I have. I've been in contact with the mayor's office.
Okay.
I've been in contact with members of the Common Council.
Okay.
And I'd like to say I'm coming at this from the outside, and I have all kinds of opinions and facts and so forth. I'm not sure exactly where to begin. Should I start big and work small, or should I just be quiet? And just
What have you heard?
Should I doodle?
But you know what?
Yeah.
Okay, you called the mayor office, right?
Yes.
But see, by the way, Al Robinson is gonna join us.
Yes.
You know, to give us much more perspective on this. So we're gonna go ahead and continue this conversation. What have you heard from the mayor's office? Because I want to.
Okay. Big picture.
Okay.
The budget of the city of Danbury allows for certain rather small and the larger scale of things taxpayer grants that are given to all sorts of social service organizations. Meals on Wheels, the Boys Club, and one of them is the Hispanic Center.
Okay.
And in years past, they've given money towards it. I believe their budget, you would know better, I read in the paper, it's about $300,000 budget annually. They own 2 buildings on West Avenue, I believe.
West
Street, sorry. And you know, they're quite well funded. Within that budget, there's about $25,000 that comes from the city of Danbury. Now, my understanding, and we talked a little bit about this beforehand, was that there was some upheaval at the top of this Hispanic Association a few years ago, and actually the former president asked that this funding not be provided. So it was a bit in
President
flux.
of what? Of the board?
Yeah, I wrote down said the board president requested that the money not be given. This was the previous.
And who's the board president? Do we know who the previous board president?
I don't know, but that's thinking. That's what I was told. That
So
there was
basically, they're saying that the previous board president requested that the money
yes,
not be given to.
yes,
Well,
because
no.
they were in a state of flux.
No,
Maybe you
not,
guys could.
not that it not be given. It was more that they hold off until they resolve the issues with regards to the director and the staffing at the Hispanic Center, then provide the funding. But the funding was never provided that year. It was not to give them the funding, but they had to resolve the issue with the director of the Hispanic Center.
Okay, hold on. We have a call. Caller, your name.
Hi, good evening, people. It's your favorite listener, Ivan. How you doing?
Good. You have a quick question?
I have a quick question. Helena, how you doing? Marty, how you doing?
Hi.
Good.
Our guest, how you doing? Listen, Ivan, and listeners, I'm half Hispanic. I'm also half Italian. Listen, we chip in for our own money and our own resources, and we build our own Spanish cultural center in Miami and in Monroe County, Florida. Ivan used to live in Florida, my part of the woods.
Okay, go ahead.
And Helena, the Portuguese at Danbury, for years they worked hard. They didn't ask the taxpayers for money to build their cultural center, the Portuguese American Club or Sons of Portugal. They chipped in, they worked hard, they paid for the money themselves. Why do the Metizos? Why do you folks need to go after the taxpayers to pay for a Spanish center?
Actually,
Okay, good.
I mean,
Thank
it's
you.
embarrassing. If I were a Metizo, I would be embarrassed.
All right.
Actually, that's a good question. First of all, I don't think that anyone wants to go to the city and ask for any type of funding. But actually, the Portuguese did build the 2 clubs, and then we united the clubs and had one, which is the Portuguese Cultural Center right now. And the city has contributed to the Portuguese Cultural Center. We've applied because of the services we do to the community, and the city, I remember when I was on the council, they gave $10,000 to the Portuguese Cultural Center, usually every year, to help with some of the funding and some of the programs of the services that they provided for the community. And I think one of the problems is the way that this issue was handled, the way that the ad hoc committee was the directive of the ad hoc committee, I should say. The issue with the Hispanic Center was basically City Hall said to them, you take care of this issue, you resolve the problem with your director and your staff, and we'll give you the funding. And I think that's the issue, and that's not what occurred. They ended up having an ad hoc meeting, and the thing that upsets me the most is the way that this process is moving forward. When I was on the council, I was on the council for 7 years. For 7 years, every time we had an ad hoc committee, normally the chair of that committee would open up the committee to allow people from the public that were there to come out and speak if there were people that were involved in the situation. That has not occurred in most of the meetings. And I'll tell you, I know for a fact it hasn't occurred. I was very upset that I couldn't speak at the BRT meeting when they had that presentation. But for some reason, when they had the two Hispanic Center ad hoc committee meetings, they opened it for the public to speak. And I don't understand what the difference is between one ad hoc committee meeting and the other. If you're going to handle one committee one way, you need to handle all the committees the same way. So it's the process that's bringing a concern to me. If City Hall said to them, this is what you have to do and we'll give you the funding, then they have to follow through. Believe me, it's very difficult for my taxes to increase, and I pay a lot of taxes to the city of Danbury, and I understand every organization has to work and people have to volunteer their time. I've volunteered my time at the Hispanic Center, and I am not Hispanic. If there's someone that I can help, because I've been a paralegal for many years, so we provided services to a lot of people, so if I was there and I could help someone, I would direct them. And a lot of people do volunteer their time, but the problem is the cost to maintain the facilities. And I know some of the function of the Hispanic Center is not just to go in and help people, as some claim are illegal. They help a lot of legal residents, and they don't just help Hispanic people. They help a lot of people of other different nationalities who have problems and concerns within the city.
Okay, the process. You are concerned with the process. Now,
Yes.
doesn't the mayor have the discretion to,
The council has to approve.
the council has to approve
Yes.
it, right? So you have a council that is full of Democrats and Republicans.
Correct.
So what happened?
That's a good question, but the only person that can answer that is the council themselves. You have a Republican candidate, Jane Diggs, who came out, and it was on the front page of the newspaper, who is very concerned about the way things are being handled in the city of Danbury within her own party.
But
So
the
that's
Democrats,
question.
also, they have a responsibility
Everyone does.
to also voice their concern. Now, why are they not doing that?
It doesn't matter what the party affiliation is. It matters you are up on that council. You are the legislative body of that council, and you are supposed to follow the charter and obey the laws. And that's what you have to do. If you don't want to give funding to someone, that's fine, because maybe you financially can't afford to do that. But if you give someone a directive and you tell them this is what you have to do and you will get the money, then you have to follow through with it.
Now, is it racially motivated? This is to all of you.
You want me to answer that?
Yes, go ahead.
I don't think
Mark.
it's racially motivated at all.
Why?
The vote was 16-5 against giving $25,900 to the Hispanic Center. I think it was motivated a little bit by what the caller just called in about. You know, why should the overburdened taxpayers of the town pay for an organization like this that's going to be essentially advocating politically for one position or another? I mean, I can sit here and say,
question though, how many organizations?
I can say one, like, why doesn't the city of Danbury support the Republican Town Committee?
Okay,
Well, why
okay,
not?
Marty, then you know what? That's fine. But how many organizations in Danbury are advocating one way or the other and still receiving money?
I
from
guess
the
there's
city?
an organization called ARC, which is the religious affiliated organization, and they came out
Association
strong.
of Religious Communities,
Right,
yes.
and they came out strong against ICE coming in and
Actually, the money that was invested in that ad for ARC as well as the Hispanic Center was not money that was given to the Hispanic Center from any city or state or federal government. It was something that people contributed to purchase that ad themselves. It was not from any funds that were
let
given.
me just be the devil's advocate, sir. I'm sitting at home right now watching this TV show. I'm an overburdened taxpayer in the city of Danbury. I've seen the cost for fuel in my car, the cost for electricity, everything going up and up and up. And then we find out that my tax dollars that are going to the city of Danbury are going to support these various organizations that are politically active.
You know what? Fine. Fine, let's do this. You don't want your money to go towards helping a certain demographic. That's fine.
Yeah.
You know what though? Don't give money to the clinics. Don't give money to the schools. It is our taxpayers' money that is funding the school system right now. So why don't we say, you know what, we're not giving money to the school system? Why don't we say we're not giving money to the clinics? We're not going to give money to the boys and girl clubs. How many illegal, hold on for a second, how many illegal kids going right now to the Boys and Girls Club, okay, and they receiving money from the city?
See, the problem, this would be my advice to the Hispanic organizations, as well as the Boy Scouts, as well as Meals on Wheels, as well as some of these other private organizations that have something that they want to accomplish. Run, don't walk, run away from government and taking money from government, because you know what? Once you take taxpayers' dollars, there are strings attached.
Yes.
And if they don't like what you're saying about ICE coming in, if they don't like what you're saying about immigration, if they don't like what you're saying about having a parade or not having a parade, all they're going to do, all they're going to do is, that's exactly what's going on, is they're going to say, guess what, guys? We're pulling your funding.
But you know what? This is this is a free speech. This is a country of free speech.
Yeah.
This is a country of democracy.
Right.
So the standard should not be that if you go against my policy, then therefore I'm not going to give you money.
That's exactly my point. That's exactly my point. That's why my recommendation to these organizations and others would be, don't take a thin dime from the government. You want to have a Portuguese organization? Go ahead and have one, but don't take money from the taxpayers, because once you do, it comes with strings.
There's
Liz,
a general misconception that
what is your perspective?
The Hispanic Center is not a cultural center. It's a health agency. It also, I think there's a general misconception that only mestizos, or whatever you want to say, go there. That is entirely not true. As somebody that used to work there, I mean, several years ago, but they helped everybody. It didn't matter if you were of European descent or if you were of Asian descent. They helped everybody that came through those doors, and it wasn't illegal people. It was people that had housing issues, food issues, just general information. Where can I get my documents translated? It was not just a let's all go and march down the street against illegal immigration. It wasn't about that.
I think it's a wonderful organization. I think they should prosper. I guess they have a $400,000 annual budget. I think hopefully they'll have a $500,000 annual budget, and I wish them all the luck in the world, and I applaud what they're doing.
It was about education. It was about obtaining employment, and it wasn't only for illegal people. It was for the people, the residents of Danbury. Danbury is a very diverse community, and it's built on everybody's background, not just one or the other.
I know, but the point tonight, the reason we're having this discussion,
the question
is because you got money. No, it doesn't. The question is, this organization gets money from the town government, and when they get money from the town government, there are strings attached.
Oh, by the way,
I think it's in their life belt interest not to do that.
But it's not a cultural center. The Hispanic Center does go out and they raise money a few different times a year. They have fundraisers. I've gone to several different events that they've hosted. They've hosted events there on their front lawn.
Okay, by the way, guys, the number is 792-4101. Please put the number up, 792-4101, if anyone wants to participate in the discussion. Go ahead.
But my concern is the way that this was handled. My concern was they were basically told, we won't give you the funding right now. You correct the problems in the Hispanic Center because of what was going on. Once you correct that, we'll give you the funding. So if you make
purse strings.
That you read the minutes of the meeting. Yeah. You grab the minutes of the ad hoc committee meeting the last time they met and that issue was brought forward. You read the minutes of this ad hoc meeting right now that they just had for the Hispanic Center. I'm going to tell you, it's pretty sad. Joe Cavo really needs to think about what he's saying because it's very offensive. And it is. And when you read those minutes, you can take them racially. I'm not Hispanic. I'm European descent. I'm Portuguese. But I don't like anyone to be attacked. Perfect example. I received an email today about an article that came out in the New York Times on June 9th. It's called Immigration Wreckage. It's about two women from Ghana. They're not Hispanic, they're not Portuguese, they're not Europeans, they're from Africa. These women have been fighting to stay in this country. They came here with their children. And one of the reasons they came to this country was because of persecution. Mm-hmm. They are attacked in their country of Ghana. Women, literally, they cut their genitals. And that's how these women are abused. And to them, it's normal. But to people like us in this country, it is not normal. And they left that country because they didn't want that to happen to their daughters, and they brought their daughters here to stay in this country, and they've been fighting for it. And what happened was they went before immigration judges, and the issues were discussed, and they were knocked down. They had to go back. One judge said to her basically, oh, you can go back. It's already been done to you. It doesn't matter. Well, they went to the appellate court. The appellate judge was livid. He basically reprimanded all of the immigration judges and said, how could you make those kind of statements and make that type of a decision in a situation like this? It's so out of control right now, and people don't understand exactly what's going on. And no, the Hispanic Center is not helping everyone that's illegal. No, a lot of organizations within the community, you have the Indian Association, you have the Portuguese Cultural Center. We have a lot of different Portuguese organizations within the Portuguese Cultural Center.
Are they all funded with taxpayer money?
No, I just said.
So why
everyone,
not have a discussion
We have a
about
phone
that?
call.
No.
We have a phone call. Let's take that phone call. Caller, you're in there.
Yes.
Yes, go ahead, sir. Hello?
Hi.
Yes.
I agree with you, Ivan.
Thank you.
I think they should stop funding the clinics because they're loaded with illegal immigrants.
Okay, ma'am,
You felt
all right.
good when she said, I agree with you. You're feeling good. Another rational person.
Okay.
Americans can't afford health insurance, but taxpayers are paying for all these illegals
Okay.
get free medical. So I agree 100% with you. Stop funding the clinics, too.
All right. Thank you.
If I remember correctly, when all this commotion started with the cultural center, Spanish Cultural Center, whatever it is, it was because there was no accountability for the money. That's what started the whole thing years ago.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Actually,
Oh, hold on for a second. Let me.
well, no,
Let me say
there's
this.
a
Let me
process
say
for the
this.
grant process.
The reason why I say that, it's to me, it seems like the city hall is bullying people around. Okay, and I have to say that they are muscling up and bullying people around, and it is not fair. And I would like for Boughton and everybody else at City Hall to go and pick on somebody, their own weight, because if you are going to somehow stop funding someone because they say something against you, you should go ahead and apply the same process to everyone else. If you're saying they are serving illegals, right, then you need to go and stop the funds for every organization in the city, because I can tell you this, if you go to every organization in the city, you will see that there is someone illegal in that organization receiving services. That's just point blank.
Well, what I wanted to mention with regards to that, anytime that someone applies for a grant within the city of Danbury, there is a process that you have to follow. There are forms that you have to complete, and there's also budget requirements. You do have to provide a copy of your budget and your expenses and everything else. That's the normal process. If an organization doesn't provide that information to the city, then it's questioned and maybe the funding is denied. But there is a process. You can't just say, I want the money, and you get the money. You literally have to apply, and you have to present your budget, and you have to show your finances where the money is spent. So there is a process within the city.
Because at the end of the day, it's taxpayer dollars.
Of course.
Well,
Of course
at the end
it
of the
is.
day, at the end of the day, it is our taxpayers' dollars, and sometimes we need to find out what our elected officials are doing with our taxpayers' dollars. Because you know what, though? I don't think who wanted to go to Iraq? Okay, we wanted to go to Afghanistan. The money that we spend on frivolous stuff, okay, we didn't ask for that, but yet they can determine how to spend our money, but when do they ever ask us how we want to spend the money?
Well, if you want to talk specifically about Iraq, that was a vote of Congress.
It's a point
through our
that I'm trying to
representatives
make.
in Congress,
It's a point I'm trying to make. When do they ever come to us and ask us, how do you want your tax money to be spent?
Just in 10 seconds or less, so
But
Ivan,
Liz,
that's what this whole political discussion is going on this year. Obama, McCain, countless. I mean, we get a say in how we're going to spend our money going forward.
No,
both
we don't.
locally,
No, we don't.
statewide,
No, we
and
don't.
nationally.
No, we don't.
Then they're certainly spending a lot of time and money trying to get our votes.
You know, Helena is right. When you apply for a grant from the city, you have to be very clear and concise with your forms, and they've got to be able to read them. And in the past, some of the social service agencies stuff has been somewhat, for lack of a better word, sloppy. So funding was denied for different reasons. And there's several reasons why, you know, somebody would be denied. The appearance that the newspaper gives, and from what I've heard, is that it's racially motivated. I myself don't see that. I see a process that hasn't been followed. I see promises that haven't been carried through. But I don't see it as a racially motivated issue. It's a hot topic, and it's because people's skin is brown, or it's because you say Hispanic, and right now it's the new thing is immigration. But Bush himself gave amnesty to a whole bunch of people in the 80s. So this is not
probably
a new
thinking of Ronald
issue.
Reagan.
This is not a new issue. This is right. You're right.
Ronald Reagan. I mean,
I misspoke. You're right. It was Ronald Reagan.
Both
But
Republicans. I understand. It's true. I couldn't agree more. You know, people say, "Oh, Ronald Reagan was this conservative." He gave an unbelievable blanket amnesty to a huge amount of illegal aliens.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to have Al Robinson joining this conversation, because this is a guy who has attended almost every meeting. Okay, and he's going to tell us what
attended. He filmed them.
Exactly, but he's going to tell us exactly what was said. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, this conversation is just going to get hot. Thank you.
Ivan, I agree with you. They should close the